So now that we're familiar with some of the initial terminology regarding assurance services, let's look a little bit more deeply into the specific types of audits that actually occur in practice. The first one that we're going to talk about is what we're all most familiar with, the audit of the financial statements. And basically, auditors are trying to give reasonable assurance to end users when they conduct an audit that a company's financial statements are, first off, fairly presented in accordance with what we call the applicable financial reporting framework. Typically, in the U.S., this means that the financial statements are fairly prepared in accordance with GAAP. If we're talking about international companies, it could be IFRS. Also, that we're going to kind of give reasonable assurance that those financial statements are free of material misstatement. That doesn't mean there's no misstatements at all within the financial statements, but we're fairly certain there's not anything that's materially misstated, basically meaning there's no misstatements that would throw off the judgment of a well-informed independent party when they're actually using or reading the financial statements. And also, we want to give reasonable assurance that these statements are prepared consistently from year to year. So going back to thinking about some of the ideas you learned about in intermediate accounting, think about different depreciation methods. You want to have consistency from one year to another, and if you change methods, there has to be a reason for that. So the financial statement audit kind of picks up on any discrepancies of that type that may occur. So we're talking here about the yearly financial statement audits. Remember, a review is kind of a watered down version of an audit. So all public companies in the U.S. are required to have yearly audits of their financial statements. They're also required to have reviews of their interim statements. So their quarterly reports, their quarterly financial statements are required to be reviewed by an auditor. And remember, that's kind of a lesser form of an audit. It gives you that limited assurance, all right? So you don't quite have the same assurance as an end user when you're relying on interim financial statements as you would when you're actually relying on fully audited yearly statements. Now, what we want to look at here as well is integrated audits. So recall that we talked about prior the idea of the internal control over financial reporting, looking at the audit of internal control. When you have one report, which is an audit of both the financial statements and the company's system of internal control, we call that an integrated audit. So this is kind of a combination of both of these two types of audits together. So just keep that in mind. Integrated audit is referring to both financial statements and internal control being audited at the same time. And public companies in the U.S., after the passing of the SOX legislation back in the early 2000s, were required to have their internal control procedures audited as well as their financial statements. So if we think about a financial statement audit, and we're going to learn a lot in this class about how we actually go about performing these audits, it's not feasible typically for a CPA firm to go in and oversee every transaction that a company makes. Right? Think of large corporations. They might have millions and millions of financial transactions throughout the year. The auditor can't go and look at every single one of those to verify everyone was booked, journaled accurately. So basically, when we conduct an audit, we're typically trying to focus on problem areas. We're going to do test of accounts that look at a certain number of transactions. We're not going to look at every single transaction. So this kind of creates some issues that we can't give absolute assurance that everything's correct on the financial statements because we haven't looked at every possible transaction. All right, so basically that's the limit, this number 2 limit, the nature of the audit procedures. Basically, we're taking samples of the transactions and looking to see if the samples of the totals are being prepared correctly. Also, the nature of financial reporting itself is inherently a limitation. We have rules that we follow within GAAP, but they give us some leeway. Companies have different applications of the rules. They use different depreciation methods, for instance, or different methods for valuing inventory. All right, so that's problematic. We could have two companies. with the very same operations, very same results, but if they use a different depreciation method, all right, they could have different bottom lines on their income statement, different numbers on their balance sheet. So that's another issue we need to be aware of when relying on auditors' reports. And also the big constraint is, there's kind of a trade-off between cost. The CPA firm is being paid by the company whose books are being audited. All right, so there's kind of a cost-benefit approach we got to look at. There's a benefit to providing good financial statements, and we want those to be audited. We want the end users to have that assurance that these are produced in an efficient manner and they're getting good information, but there's cost associated with that. So we can't afford, again, to pay the CPA firm to go in and oversee every single transaction our company maybe had. So there's that trade-off between cost and benefit, which is an inherent limitation of the audit. Now, a couple other audits I want to talk about that we'll look at more deeply later in the course. First one is a compliance audit. So this is basically gathering evidence to figure out if some type of rules have been followed. So an example of this is when the Internal Revenue Service conducts an audit of an individual. All right, this is called a compliance audit, a little bit different than a financial statement audit. All right, financial statement audits is when a company publishes their financial statements and the CPA is giving that reasonable assurance that those financial statements are accurately prepared. Similar idea here, it's an audit, but not necessarily of financial statements. Operational or performance audits, another form of audit, which kind of looks at some aspect of an organization's operations. A lot of times these operational audits are performed by internal auditors within the company. Some CPA firms may also provide operational audits as well. So think of, for example, a manufacturing company. Maybe they have an assembly line that produces, let's say, like kitchen blenders, and they want to make sure that the way that the process is working is efficient. So you might have somebody come in and oversee this operation, oversee this production operation to make sure that they're actually doing the process correctly, making sure that they're actually following safety guidelines, OSHA procedures. So this is just a very different type of audit, but again, it kind of falls in that same category. We have a party overseeing the work of somebody else to give some type of assurance on that work. In this case, it's assurance on some aspect of an organization's operations. And the final type of audit I want to talk about, and we've referred to this already, is internal audits. These are audits that take place within a company. These are performed by the auditors that work full-time for a company. So this is kind of an ongoing process, and this is very helpful for the outside CPA firm when they actually conduct their yearly audit of the financial statements. A lot of times they work very closely with a company's internal auditors. They rely sometimes on the work of the internal auditors. Later in the course, we're going to talk about the different requirements that CPAs have to follow when they do rely on the work of these internal auditors. And typically the internal auditors report directly to the audit committee, so they can kind of bypass upper levels of management to kind of report any problems, specifically when there's instances or a possibility of fraud being committed by management. It's great that these internal auditors have a direct line to the audit committee that can kind of oversee operations and kind of take care of any problems before they really get out of hand.